Even the country's oldest Latino civil rights group came out against it, yet AOC keeps defending it, saying gender is fluid, language is fluid. Yes, and Latino voters are fluid. Redress the past, or reach out to the gettable white voter who says, you know what, I'd like a shot at getting in the pot business. But to do that, our entire audience.
Have you noticed how Democrats keep finding new and bizarre ways to shoot themselves in the foot? Almost like they're Olympic gold medalists at alienating their own voters. Bill Maher, who, let's be real, has built an entire career out of being a smug liberal, completely ripped into them on his show. And the shocking twist is, he wasn't wrong. Take the whole Latinx disaster, for example. Remember when the woke activists decided every Latino in America should suddenly be rebranded as Latinx? They forced it into speeches, campaigns, classrooms, literally everywhere. And how did the Latino community react? With a giant collective eye roll. Poll after poll proved the majority despised it, never used it, and flat out rejected it. Even the nation's oldest Latino civil rights group dismissed it entirely. But AOC and her woke crew keep hanging on to it like it's the hill they're determined to collapse on. And her excuse? Gender is fluid. Language is fluid. Fine, but you know what else is fluid? Latino voters. They're fluid enough to switch from blue to red the moment they feel Democrats don't have their back. And that's exactly what's happening. Maar even highlighted a prime example. A heavily Latino congressional district right on the Mexican border, long seen as permanently blue, suddenly flipped Republican. Why? Because Democrats stopped acting like lawyers for their own community and instead turned into lawyers for woke causes, migrants, and whatever Twitter trend happened to explode that week.
Last week, an 85% Latino congressional district on the border with Mexico, which had always voted heavily Democratic, flipped to the red team. And the campaign manager for the losing Democrat said, "We gave up a reliably Democratic congressional seat for no reason at all. We deserve to know why." Well, aside from your terrible attitude, I'm going to tell you why. Because these voters stopped seeing your candidate as their lawyer.
That's the exact point Maar hammered home. Voters don't want politicians chasing hashtags or flexing for social media clout. They want representatives who fight for them like personal lawyers. People aren't begging for leaders obsessed with correcting pronouns while ignoring broken schools, unsafe neighborhoods, and skyrocketing costs of living. They're desperate for real solutions. And yet, Democrats still can't seem to figure it out. Imagine how tone-deaf you have to be to keep pushing a term like Latinx when the very people it's supposed to uplift overwhelmingly reject it. That's not progress. It's political suicide. It's like me declaring that from now on, pizza isn't called pizza. It's circular gluten units. And when everyone boos, I just double down and say, well, language is fluid. That's not inclusivity. It's arrogance pretending to be progress. And here's the real kicker. Voters see straight through the performance. They know when they're being lectured instead of represented, and they're sick of it.
Their message to you was, I'm an American now. I'm here. Be my lawyer, not the lawyer for the migrants showing up in my backyard. Every month I see a new poll reporting how much Latinos despise the woke term Latinx. It's about as popular with them as a reboot of Speedy Gonzales.
And that's exactly why Trump, yes, that Trump, the man Democrats swore could never win over minority voters, ended up making shocking gains in Latino communities. It wasn't because he suddenly transformed into their champion or reinvented himself as their cultural hero. It happened for one simple reason. Democrats abandoned their role. When you stop acting like people's lawyer, when you stop defending their families, their jobs, and their future, they'll fire you without hesitation and hire someone else who will. Politics at its core is that simple. Ignore your base, and they'll replace you in an instant.
Even the country's oldest Latino civil rights group came out against it, yet AOC keeps defending it, saying gender is fluid, language is fluid. Yes, and Latino voters are fluid.
And this problem isn't limited to Latino voters. Asian Americans are walking away from Democrats too, and the reasons are crystal clear. The so-called equity in education experiments in deep blue cities turned into total disasters. Instead of helping struggling students catch up, Democrats decided that the path to fairness was to abolish advanced programs, the very ones where Asian kids were excelling and leading the way. Just think about that madness. Instead of lifting students up, they dragged everyone down to the lowest level possible. That's not fairness, it's sabotage. Imagine being a parent watching your child work hard, excel in math or science, and then being told, "Sorry, we're cutting that program because not every kid is thriving the same way." How do you expect parents to respond? They're going to fight for someone who defends their child's future, someone who acts like their lawyer, not someone who wipes away opportunity in the name of phony equity.
And more of them now than ever are identifying as Republican. So are Asian Americans, whose support for Democrats is down 16 points since the last election. A lot of that is because, in the name of achieving equity in schools, Democrats in deep blue cities have made it a mission to eliminate the advanced programs at which Asian kids excel. Asian parents said, "Okay, I wish all kids well, not a racist, but I need someone who acts like my lawyer."
And let's be real. This doesn't just hurt Asian kids, it hurts every single child. Excellence pushes others to aim higher. And when you erase opportunities for top performers, you crush motivation across the board. Why should the average student push harder if there's no higher goal to reach? Why should anyone test their limits if rewards are flattened in the name of equity? It's nothing more than a race to the bottom, and the children are the ones paying the price. And don't forget the pandemic disaster. Parents were begging to get their kids back into classrooms, but Democrats chose to side with teachers' unions instead of families, dragging out school closures far longer than necessary. And now they act surprised when parents are voting Republican. What did they expect? If your child comes home knowing less than when they left, are you really going to reward the politicians responsible for that chaos? Absolutely not.
If you're a parent and wanted schools to reopen a lot sooner than they did after COVID shutdowns, or think maybe your kid is getting a bad education partly because it's nearly impossible to fire a lousy teacher, yeah, you're going to say, "Congratulations, teachers, you got yourself a good lawyer. The Democratic Party's always got your back, 100%. But I've noticed my kid is kind of an idiot. So I may be looking for new representation."
So now, more and more people are searching for new representation, because this pattern is impossible to ignore. Democrats keep pandering to tiny niche groups while leaving the majority out in the cold. Take student loan forgiveness. It's advertised as this grand, compassionate plan. Wipe away the debt, free up young people to chase their dreams, and so on. But look closer. It's basically a slap in the face to the working-class voters who never went to college in the first place. Picture a mechanic, a waitress, or a delivery driver. They never touched a student loan. Some even skipped college on purpose to avoid the debt. And now Biden tells them their tax dollars are covering someone else's $100,000 degree in gender studies? How is that fair? These working-class Americans sacrificed, worked hard, and lived within their means, only to be told they now have to subsidize people who often walk into higher-paying jobs than they'll ever get. That's not justice, it's shameless vote buying. And voters see it, and they're furious.
President Biden wants to cancel hundreds of billions of dollars in student debt. Okay, but the poorer two-thirds of American kids who don't get a college degree are going to say, why should the people who didn't go to college and make less money subsidize the people who did go and make more? You want me to chip in so some liberal arts college can build a bigger rock wall? You're not my lawyer.
The same nonsense pops up with these universal basic income experiments. Some cities are literally handing out free money to select groups, and in some cases, limiting it only to LGBTQ+ participants. And listen, nobody's against helping people in real need, but when you single out one identity group, you're basically telling everyone else, sorry, you don't matter as much. How can that ever be fair? Democrats have turned pandering into their political love language, showering the LGBTQ+ community with endless speeches, targeted policies, and performative stunts, while ignoring everyone else struggling to pay rent or put food on the table. Straight men and women, other racial groups, working-class families, they all start feeling invisible. And let's be honest, invisible voters don't stay loyal. They don't sit around hoping to be noticed. They walk away. They go looking for a party that actually acknowledges them. And more often than not, that's no longer the Democrats.
A universal basic income probably sounds pretty good to a lot of people struggling without a college degree. And a number of cities have been running pilot programs in guaranteed income. But the West Hollywood program had to be suspended because it was unconstitutional. They set up a program where 25 residents were to get $1,000 for 18 months, but only if you identified as LGBT, the rest of that. Why? Because they need money more than any other people? Because no one in West Hollywood will hire a gay person?
And here's where it gets almost laughably ironic. On an issue like marijuana legalization, something Democrats should have owned for years, it's starting to look like Republicans might beat them to the finish line. Bill Maher, practically the high priest of pot, even pointed out that Trump himself could be the one to push for nationwide legalization. Can you picture that? The same party liberals mocked as uptight, outdated, and totally out of touch might actually be the ones to deliver on a promise progressives have dangled for decades. If Republicans pull this off, it'll be downright hilarious. Just imagine Maar lighting up a joint, shaking his head, and admitting, okay, fine, the GOP actually got it done. That wouldn't just be funny, it would throw Democrats into a full-blown identity crisis, exposing how badly they've bungled even the issues they claimed as their own.
When he ran in 2020, Bernie Sanders said he would legalize marijuana on his first day as president, but that the business of selling pot would be awarded first to those who suffered most from the drug war. And you know what? I can't argue with that instinct. The drug war has been a horrendous instrument of prejudice and punishment for racial minorities, so it seems fair that they jumped the line for weed franchises the way Indians did for casinos. But it's also what's holding up Republican support for legalizing weed nationally, which would be good for everybody. And these are the hard, practical choices the Democrats have to weigh.
And that's the bigger picture. Democrats love to talk. They adore their hashtags, their flashy slogans, and their endless moral grandstanding. But when it comes to actually delivering results, they keep fumbling the ball. Meanwhile, Republicans, whether people like them or not, are jumping on every single opening. They've stepped into the role Democrats abandoned, acting like the lawyers for the average American. And voters are responding to that. At the end of the day, people don't want pandering or endless lectures about pronouns and buzzwords about equity. They want leaders who will defend their families, protect their kids' education, keep their neighborhoods safe, and stop wasting their hard-earned money. That's the job description, plain and simple. Democrats have forgotten that basic truth. They've traded substance for style, and style doesn't win elections when real lives are on the line. Empty words won't pay the bills or keep kids safe, and voters know it.
Redress the past, or reach out to the gettable white voter who says, you know what, I'd like a shot at getting in the pot business. But to do that, our entire audience.
So yes, Bill Maher isn't exactly anyone's idea of a conservative hero, but even he's spelling it out plain as day. The Democrats are digging their own grave with these endless woke obsessions. From the Latinx disaster, to sabotaging education, to reckless student debt forgiveness, to over-the-top identity pandering. They're showing voters exactly where their priorities lie. And it's not with the hardworking people who keep this country moving. If they don't change course soon, they'll keep losing Latino voters, Asian voters, working-class voters, entire communities drifting further and further away. And when Election Day finally arrives, no catchy slogan or viral hashtag is going to save them. Action will, and right now, Republicans are the ones actually taking it. So the real question is, do you honestly think Democrats can turn this ship around? Or are they already too deep in the woke swamp to crawl out? Drop your thoughts in the comments, smash that like button if you're sick of the pandering, and don't forget to subscribe for more explosive videos like this, because this is just the beginning.